Hello, this is Brian Wells from the Department of Quantitative Health Sciences at the Cleveland Clinic, and I'm going to show some more tricks today with the Risk Calculator Constructor, which is available at makercalc.ccf.org. The video today will demonstrate how to make a grid calculator, or in other words, how to show the results of the prediction for a variety of treatment options and multiple outcomes. So let's say if you have a comparative effectiveness model where you want to compare multiple drugs across multiple outcomes. I'm assuming at this point that you've made a previous calculator and know how to use the website. If not, you can look at our previous videos on how to get you started. So let me go ahead and jump to R here, and I'll show you some hypothetical equations that I pulled out of Cox models using the pred.eq function like we demonstrated before. So here are three equations, one for myocardial infarction, one for stroke, and one for mortality. And you can see in these models that I have a medication variable in which there's just simply three options: drug A, drug B, or drug C. What I want to do for the risk calculator to make this work right is to actually replace the drug names so that there's a separate equation for each of the drugs. So the first thing I'll do is just make three copies of that myocardial infarction equation for each of the drugs, and then show you what to do from there. So there we go, three copies of the same equation. I know that drug A is the reference category because you don't see drug A mentioned in the initial equation. So what I want is for the regression coefficients associated with drug B and drug C to just simply fall away in this model. And the easiest way to do that is just to replace their names with a 0. Like so. Now I have an equation that just predicts the risk of drug A. And I can continue this process for drug B. I actually want to replace the medication drug B name with a 1, so that coefficient will be counted, and put a 0 for drug C. Like so, and then finally I'll repeat the process for drug C. We'll make medication equals drug C equal to 1 and drug B equal to 0. Now, when you have a more complicated equation, especially if you have interaction terms with the medication, it's probably better to do some sort of copy and paste to make sure you replace those properly. I won't bore you with the process for stroke and mortality. It'll be the same general theme, but instead I'll jump over to the risk calculator to allow us to see what to do with these separate equations. So here I am on a new calculator screen on the risk calculator constructor. I've just given a name to this of grid calculator example. And first I want to put in our three outcomes, which are mortality, MI, and stroke. I'll go ahead and do that. So there's our MI outcome. Come down here and click Add Outcome for mortality. And then I'll add one more for stroke. And now we currently have three equation boxes. We have one equation box for each outcome. What we need are three equation boxes. So what I need to do is come down here to add outcome matrix column. And I want to actually do that twice to give me a total of 3 per outcome. Now if I come back up to myocardial infarction, I can name these as drug A, drug B, and drug C. Like so. And remember, we want to change the equation to a Cox model. I'm going to make it a Cox failure model for all 3 of these. And then we'll simply just go back to R and grab the regression equations and plop them in the boxes. So there's the equation for drug A, and we want to make sure we don't forget the base. So I'll grab that. And actually the base will be the same for each outcome, so I'll go ahead and paste that into the 3 different treatment boxes. So for drug A, drug B, and finally drug C. Then we need to expand the equation box below each of the other treatment options to paste in the other 2 equations. And I'll go ahead and go grab those formulas. Okay, now I have all 3 equations in for drug A, drug B, drug C for myocardial infarction. And I won't bore you with the details, but I'll go ahead and copy the equations in for the other 2 outcomes for all 3 drugs. Okay, so I got all the equations copied in for all of the outcomes and all the 3 predictor variables or treatments in this case. And again, you want to make sure that you replace the medications with either a 0 or 1 or whatever you want to be on the grid, and that you put the base in for the regression equations. And if we scroll to the bottom of the screen, we should see what we have here. And there it is. It shows our calculator with the 3 outcomes as rows and the 3 drugs as columns. And I'll just plug in a hypothetical patient. And we'll just leave smoking status and gender as it is. Click calculate. And there you go. So there is the estimated predicted risk for the three drugs for the 3 outcomes. I'm not sure exactly what happened to drug C there for myocardial infarction, but anyway, you get the idea of how to put this together. And obviously you can use as many drugs and as many outcomes as will fit on the screen. You can check out the calculators that we've created here at the Cleveland Clinic at rcalc.ccf.org. And don't hesitate to contact us if you have any questions or concerns. And check out our other videos that show some more details about how to get you started.